you're supposed to codify your behavior, which means precise thinking, and find out the source of your problem. And always aim your words and your deeds at the source of your problem. Identify the exact source of your problem. In this case, it would be the system of white supremacy and the practitioners of it.
Mm-hmm.
So all of your blame for anything, what you do, is your effective response is what you do every day. And that is all of your discussion is supposed to be about the source of your problem. Well, talk is the major part of it, because eventually you're going to have to talk to somebody anyway. But you want to talk to the people who are actually doing the harm. You don't just talk to anybody. You want to always direct your attention toward the exact persons with surgical precision who are doing the harm at the time that they are doing the harm, and the people who are plotting to do more harm, directly and indirectly. Try to find out who they are. Direct your attention, but broadly speaking, always in one voice. You say, the system of white supremacy. That's not hard to say. But people will say, well, the people who oppose the black people, we have all kinds of different metaphors. We'll say that police brutality. That's not a correct term. A person who is brutal is not a police officer. So you call them by another term. That's what I mean by the words. You say we have some suspected race soldiers among us. And they are not police officers, because you can't be a police officer and mistreat anybody. You have disqualified yourself as a police officer. So the word police shouldn't even be mentioned when you're saying somebody is being mistreated. Whoever invented that term, police brutality, I mean, that should be revisited. That person should say, why did you call it in the beginning? Because that's what it's been called like forever. It had, but it had at a cost that was unnecessary. If it was done with precision, in other words...
Well, give me an example of precision.
Precision means if you're going to do harm to a person who is doing harm to you, you do harm to the person. The building is not the thing that you direct your attention to. A building, throwing a firebomb into a department store, or going into a grocery store and running off with things that are in there. No. Even the mafiosa, even what they call the organized criminals, like in the beginning of this program, we have the Corleones. They pinpointed what they were doing. They pinpointed their targets. They pinpointed their targets. They didn't burn down buildings. Sometimes some of them did, but that's going to a little extreme. But for the most part, they went after persons. They learned that over a period of time. You just didn't go down the street spraying the entire street with bullets. They did that in the beginning. But as they became more sophisticated, they say, oh, we have a person. Maybe one or two people. Maybe three or four people. What did Don Corleone tell Tom Hagen in the car? Tom Hagen said something to him about the people who would
have
a
records.
certain part of the operations.
Right.
And the Don said to him that Barzini would know that without being told.
Without being told.
And he said, what do you mean Barzini? He said, well, it was Barzini behind all of this. It was Barzini behind all of this killing. It's Barzini who was behind Sollozzo. It's Barzini all the time. So, ultimately, very quietly, at an appointed time, we will take care of Barzini. Godfather 2 with Willie Cece at the trial, the courtroom scene, where he was asked about, well, did you ever talk to Michael Corleone about killing someone? And he said, no, I never talked to him. Say, well, are you saying that there was always a lot of buffers between you and the other people? They say, yeah, the Corleones had lots of buffers, and he made a joke of it. And they had to remind him that this was a very serious affair. But the point was still being made. Yes, I'm a hitman for the Corleone family, but I never talked to a Corleone about putting a hit on anybody. Why? Because they had buffers. Lots of buffers. There are always lots of buffers between the people who are being harmed and the people who are doing the harming.
Deep, Mr. Fuller.
So what you do is always think about who are the people behind the scenes that cause it all. And in the case of racism, it's always somebody who is a white supremacist. Always. You pinpoint the people, and that's who you go after.